Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and today we're talking about building rapport. So let me just share presenter mode. Okay, hold on a sec. Okay, here we go. This should be good. Okay, can everybody see? Well, you can see the full screen here. I'm just going to leave this as is. Okay. All right, so building rapport. When we're meeting with new clients, how do we engage with them? What are some things that might come up when we're meeting with clients? And I think this Case Management University is it's geared towards case managers, but really anybody will benefit from this type of training. Okay. So in this training, we're going to discuss the specific role of case managers, how to build rapport with clients when we're first meeting them or when we take over new clients. And then we're also going to discuss the differences between case managers, what the difference is between a case manager, a therapist, or maybe even just a friend, and some of the boundaries that come up in these relationships. So what does a case manager do? So this is the point where I ask any of you, what are some things that case managers do in their roles? So even if you're new or if you've been doing this for a while, what are some things that they do? How do they act? What do they say? What are some just ideas that people have about that?
Connect clients to resources.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of. Provide a bridge between the client and resources or things that they need and or support.
Exactly. Anything else?
Also, case managers provide advocacy for, just say, for instance, like being connected to, I guess, a housing unit. Just saying, hey, okay, my client, he's been homeless for X amount of time and, he's a very good client. Just advocating for them, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Great. Okay, so in case management, yeah, so we're going to go into the specifics about what we do as case managers. Okay, so our role as case managers or people who work with case managers is on the client's team, on the multidisciplinary team, is to provide support, ongoing needs, whether that's related to housing, interim housing, basic needs, connection to resources. So what we do as case managers is we come in and create goals with our clients, and we have an ongoing supportive relationship. So it's creating goals with the clients based on their needs. So if you've been doing this work for a while or you've just started, you should be hearing the message over and over that we really meet our clients where they're at. So we create goals with them. It's not saying, here's your goals, like good luck. It's saying, here's the goals that we have together that we're going to accomplish. Let's do this. So really like holding their hand, not literally because we're social distancing, but also that might be a boundary issue we'll talk about later on. Essentially holding their hand through the situations, figuring out where they're at. We all know that we have clients who can independently go to the DMV by themselves and get things accomplished. There's other clients that are going to need us every step of the way. So really tailoring our approach specific to each client. Okay, like I just said, we're meeting our clients where they're at. So even if we're meeting them where they're at that day, we should really be tailoring things to them. So today might not be the day that the client, even though they agreed to see this apartment, it's not the day for them because they had a terrible weekend or whatever happened. We want to be mindful that even with each client, our approach might be different or might need to take a step back or forward depending on the day and what's going on in their life in that moment. So as case managers, our ultimate goal is to be non-judgmental, verbally and verbal and nonverbal. So when our clients are sharing things with us, when we're doing our assessments and they're sharing deep chronic traumas with us, or when they're sharing things that they did last night or last week or with their friends, our goal is really to maintain a non-judgmental approach. We're not telling them that what they're doing is right or wrong, but if they're presenting us with something that they need support with, we're going to help them with that. And we're going to help them to get to a safe way to do the things that they're doing, whatever that means for our clients. And then the other thing that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the training is unconditional positive regard. Just want to make sure I got everybody admitted to the training. Okay, so unconditional positive regard, we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we go. So the thing that I like to stop and talk about in this training is, as the client's case manager, we have a position of authority in this relationship. So essentially, we have the ability to either bridge new opportunities or resources to our clients, or we could be a hindrance to our client to get those resources. There's a lot of things that our agency offers, and we should really be passing all those along to our clients as like a menu of options for them. So whether we know that our clients, and they've been comfortable and honest in telling us that they use opiates, we should still be offering them Narcan and, condoms and access to clean needles and all those things, just like the menu of options we would offer to anybody. So it's not really our position to say like, well, they're lying to me and I need to, it's really just we're offering them everything we have available. So we hold a position of power in these relationships and authority. The other thing to consider is culturally. Do we hold a position of privilege in our culture that we need to be mindful of when we're working with our clients? Presenting to them as, white female social worker, like I would be, I'm sort of the holder of some access to resources. I need to be mindful when I'm working with my clients that don't look just like me, that they might not have had great experiences with white female social workers that look just like me. So being mindful and aware of those types of relationship, of the differences between us and our clients when we're working with them. Okay. For those that have just joined us, we're recording this to go on our agency's YouTube page for staff who work overnight or that aren't able to make this. So if you are not comfortable with that, you're welcome to turn off your camera. But as we go along, even if your camera's off, feel free to jump in and ask questions at any time. Okay. So this relationship, just like all of our other relationships that we have in our life, is built on trust. So our clients come to us with a whole gamut of life experiences. So our clients have faced traumas, they've faced really difficult life situations, and they're coming to us, a lot of our clients, with many, many case manager experiences in their life. So we had a client before that was like, this is my 17th case manager. Like, why should I trust this person? And just knowing there's a lot that's happened in the client's life before they arrive, on your doorstep or on your caseload. So just beginning the relationship with integrity. So just like you would want, if you had a case manager or someone in your life that you were counting on to provide resources for you, communicating to our clients that they're important. So keeping appointments with clients, making appointments with clients, and knowing if I'm going to be late, it's really on me to call the client and let them know, or text them and let them know I'm running 5 minutes late. You are just as important to me as anyone else in my life, that it's important to communicate through our actions and our behaviors that these appointments are for them. So their time is important. And then maintaining that throughout the relationship. So when someone shows up to your house for an appointment that they made with you and they're not prepared or distracted or late, that doesn't feel very good. And it doesn't communicate that they're important or that your time is important. So we just want to make sure that we're constantly letting our clients know if we need to change an appointment, things happen last minute, another client has a crisis, we just need to be in communication with our clients about those things and doing what we say we're going to do. So making sure if you're meeting with a client and they're asking you for all these different resources, that you're writing this stuff down and not making promises that you're not going to do things that you can't. So even if it's saying like, I wrote down this list of things to get today, I'm going to research it when I get back to the office. And next week when we meet, I'm going to try to bring you as much information as I can. Or I will do that referral for in-home supportive services for you this week, and I'll give you an update next week. But we can talk about the other stuff whenever we meet again. Okay. So building rapport. Any examples from the group about how you found it helpful to build rapport with clients in the past? So when you were first meeting clients, like what helped to build that relationship? Any examples from anybody?
I think just having a candid conversation, not giving them the impression that you're guarded or that you're unwilling to speak about whatever. Honestly, it being uncomfortable is not really a factor because it's something that they want to speak about, you know, just being open.
That's great. Anybody else?
I've asked them, generally when I have a new client, I ask them about their past, present, and future. So like past challenges they've overcome, present worries or concerns, and then future goals, because that way it lets them frame their story in their own narrative. And I generally find I learn a lot more that way.
That's good. That's really good. Anybody else? Cool. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, so studies show that the most important predictor of client outcomes and client success is the relationship and connection that they have with their service providers. So there's been a lot of research done around therapy, and therapists and their relationship with the clients are the most important indicator whether clients succeed and meet their goals in therapy as compared to maybe not having as good of a connection with their therapist. That's the number one indicator that a client will be successful, is if they have a good foundational relationship built with that therapist. And this also translates to us as service providers and clinical case managers and case managers. So like I talked about before, our clients are coming to us with a whole bag full of things that they have faced in their life, in addition to experiences with maybe even your team or the provider before you, or with our agency, or clients can be upset with our agency. And then other things that have gone on in their life that day, that morning before they met with you. Just understanding that clients are coming to us with a lot. So some things we can do to build rapport using our client's name, and this is really important when we're talking about our trans folks that we work with. We should not be using their dead name. We should ask them which name they would like to be called. We should be asking all of our clients, not based on our judgment about their pronouns. What are your pronouns? We shouldn't only be asking people who we think are trans about that question. What are your pronouns? Making sure we're calling them by whatever name they prefer. Some of our clients have trauma associated with their legal name, so they prefer to use a nickname, and we should be calling them what they want to be called. We should also be pronouncing their name correctly. So even if you have to write down the phonetic, how you say it, we know that that's something that our clients, our Black clients and our Asian clients experience. Choosing an easier name instead of their actual name and what they want to be called is really common. Mispronunciation and calling them by something else, we just need to be really mindful of that. Actively listening to our clients, showing them empathy. We're going to watch a video on that. Finding common ground. So you might not know what it's like to be street homeless in Skid Row, but if your client recently experienced a loss, or if they're frustrated or angry, you felt a feeling like that, frustration and anger and upset and loneliness before. So can you relate to them in any way to show empathy for what that feels like? Following our client's lead. So they're really the experts of their own experience, and they're the ones that are guiding to what we're going to do with them that day, or they're the ones that are guiding our goals that we're creating with them. So it's not on us to say, I notice you use this substance, let's get sober. If the client wants that, great. But otherwise, we're really following their lead on what they want. Okay. So how to build rapport. So like in the last slide, we should be taking a general interest in our clients. I really like that question about your past, present, and future. Whatever the client wants to share with you, and just actively listening to them. Distractions aside, making sure we're not checking our phones when we're with our clients, And if we use our phone for the time, letting the client know at the beginning, hey, I don't have a watch. I use my work phone for the time. I'm going to look at it a couple of times just to make sure we're on track because I have another appointment to get to after this. Just explaining it to clients. Oops, go back. Okay, asking relevant questions. So if you have to do a biopsychosocial or something along those lines when you first meet with your clients, just make sure you've read it before, and that the first time you're meeting with the client, you're not asking those questions or reading them for the first time yourself. There is a Dmh assessment that's completed by a bunch of people at our agency that are on Dmh contracts that goes into the trauma section, and it really is really explicit in listing some things that clients may have experienced. And if you're just like kind of flatly reading that off, it's really missing the piece of empathy. And we may not even need to go into that much detail. Clients generally know what trauma is and if they've experienced it before. So just one example. Just making eye contact with your clients and being mindful of your body language. So if you're visiting a client in their home and you are really uncomfortable with sitting on their couch and you're presenting that way, it's okay to ask a client to sit on like a wooden chair or maybe not their couch if you're not comfortable with that, but also making sure that you're showing up to your clients fully. Okay. All right, so when we're meeting with clients and having these conversations with them, to demonstrate your interest in what they're saying and making sure you're paying attention, something you can also do is reflect, reframe, and restate. So these are a few examples of things you could say when you're meeting with clients. Today we talked about these 3 things. Is there a particular place you'd like to start? Sometimes when we first meet with clients, they come to us with like a huge list full of items that they never got to accomplish with their last case manager and that they need help with. So really like writing those things down and asking them like, today we talked about, you need an ID, you need your social security card, you need, you want to increase your income, you want help with all of these things. What's the most important thing to you today based on what we talked about, so we can really figure out where to start. So that your client's guiding that and not you. And in some cases it might be saying like, well, we're doing your housing application. The most important thing right now is that we get your social security card and your ID. And then how about we agree on after we submit the application, we can apply to CBEST to get your income increased or something like that. So you're really like, there may be times where you need to say like, well, of all the things you've listed, this right now, based on what we're doing, might be priority. What do you think about that? So giving clients options. Asking clients what they mean by certain things. So sometimes when we're meeting with clients, they'll use like street names for substances, or they'll be kind of veiled in things that they're explaining to us. And I think we never want to walk away like, I don't know, it seems like the client was kind of saying that they might harm themselves, or it seemed like they were kind of saying like they were done with life, but like wouldn't really be clear about it. We want to make sure that we are clarifying what our clients mean. Even if it's saying like, I'm so sorry, like I'm not really up to speed with what that means. Can you explain that to me? Or can you tell me what you mean by that? Just asking them for more information rather than walking away like a little unclear about what they need, what they want, or what they're trying to tell you. Even asking them if the client's like, no, I don't really want, what you're offering me. Also clarifying at the end, like what I'm hearing, it sounds like you're saying that you do not want shelter and you would rather remain the way that things are until you get housing. Is that accurate? Just making sure that when you're walking away that you both are on the same page. Another thing you could say is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds to me like blah, 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 blah. It sounds to me like you're saying you will never go to shelter, but you would consider a project room key site, something like that. Okay. So our job as service providers is to help our clients and support them, but we should always be clarifying in the relationship that the client should really be at the forefront. And as they're able to, if clients are capable of completing certain tasks and doing certain things on their own, really want to encourage them to be the front-facing person in this interaction. So we want to encourage clients to have their voice. We want to empower them to communicate certain things in a certain way, rather than us being the one who kind of swoops in and saves the day for our clients. So as we continue in our relationship, we should find small things or even big things that the client can start to take on themselves. So does the client really need your help with submitting a work order request at their apartment because their sink is clogged again? Or can we encourage them that maybe on the weekend this happens and it needs to be done immediately? Here's the number, here's how you do it, how do you feel about it? Really pushing them in little ways when they're capable to start doing those things independently. So our goal is to really become smaller and smaller, and our clients to become bigger and bigger and able to do things on their own. So something that you could do to like split the check or to split things with your clients is, there's like an example at the bottom. We met for an hour today. You shared that you'd like to focus on getting your ID so we can start your housing process. What part of that can you agree to, and what part of that can I help you with? So telling the client, hey, we have these reduced fee or free identification forms to order. How about I'll bring that to you, and then how do you feel about going to the DMV by yourself? What would that be like for you? I'll make you an appointment or whatever that looks like, or I'll help you get to where your closest one is. And just constantly thinking of the mind frame of like, what part of this can I do? And what part of this can my client do? And do they really need me to do everything for them? And some of our clients are going to need our support every step of the way, but others are really independent. And we should be encouraging that and telling the clients, I noticed that last week you did this whole thing by yourself and didn't even involve me in it. Like, what else can we have you start to take on so that you can do these things on your own and not rely on me to get food or transportation to a food bank? What are some things we can encourage them to do on their own? Okay, yeah. So as we become smaller, our clients should be becoming bigger and more independent on their own. Okay, so you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. We sometimes are going to be the ones who are, a lot of people will say like, I feel like I'm working harder than the client. I feel like I'm doing everything for them and they're not doing anything. In some cases, I think everybody in this group can probably think of somebody, a client that they're working with that literally needs their help every part of the way. So if you're asking them to do, a certain task, we're going to need you to explain it to them, go with them, stand with them, and wait. And then when it's done, process it to help them every part of the way. So even though the ideal goal is to help our clients to be able to do things on their own and not rely on us for transportation and food and things like that, just knowing that every client is different, just like every one of us is different. And some of them are going to need more preparation or guidance or direction than others. Okay. So on personal disclosure, something that comes up when we're meeting our clients for the first time is a lot of our clients will start to ask a lot of personal questions about us. Really natural thing to do when we're meeting people is they want to know who you are and are you qualified to work with me? So some things that people might ask you is, were you ever homeless? Where did you go to school? Where do you live? Where did you come from? If you moved from out of state, are you married? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a partner? Do you have a girlfriend? Have you ever struggled with substance use, and how much money do you make? So some of these questions are more appropriate to answer with clients and others. Some of them are very inappropriate to talk about as far as like how much money we make and exactly our address and where we live. Some of them may be more comfortable based on your comfort level with, where did you go to school? For me, that's information someone can Google me and find out pretty quickly. I'm comfortable telling a client where I went to school for undergrad and where I went for grad school. As far as if you're married, clients are going to see a ring on your hand and assume certain things about that. If you have kids, people are going to ask you about that. Some of it may be actually that, you know, you might need to consult with your supervisor about it because you're not really sure if it's, you know, if you're comfortable or if it's okay to talk about, you know, yes, I have children, but that's really what I'm going to leave it at. So just some things to think about when you're first meeting clients. It's really, really typical of when you're building a relationship. We ask a lot of our clients, we ask them a lot about their personal life, and they really don't know us at all beyond the fact that we're, you know, Christina Bair that works at the People Concern. Okay. So just thinking of our clients as multi-layered. So when we first meet our clients, you know, we're going to see that the outside surface that maybe clients just want you to see of them. They're going to tell the story that they want you to know about them and about their lives. But as we go on, we're going to ideally keep uncovering certain things and getting more comfortable with them and having them get more comfortable with us. And we're going to be discovering new layers of our clients, new pieces of them. But I think the important thing to think about is it's not necessarily that your client is like withholding or lying to you in the beginning. It's just like all of us, we present the person to people that present what we want people to know and believe about us. But as we go on and get to know people, sometimes they realize like that wasn't necessarily who we really are. And there's more to us than that. Layers, okay. Okay, so next is a video I'm gonna show, but a really great Brene Brown quote. For anybody that's read any of her stuff or watched any of her videos, empathy has no script. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's simply listening, holding space, withholding judgment, emotionally connecting and communicating that incredibly healing message of you're not alone. Okay, so I'm gonna share this. Let me just share a video. Okay. Okay, this is like a 3-minute video on empathy. Good. Just let me know. I will ask as soon as I start it if you can hear it.
$67.
Can everybody hear that?
You can make as many videos as you want, and you never
Good,
have to
okay.
pick up a camera or use any fancy.
The importance of empathy. We all live in our own version of reality, a reality that is limited by our senses, our temperament, and our own experiences. It is the only reality we will ever truly know. But it is crucial to our personal development, our relationships, and to society itself that we make the effort to try and experience other people's realities as well. This is done through empathy. Simply stated, empathy is an active attempt to understand another person's perspective, their emotions, and in essence, their reality. We are social animals, and our ability to communicate and understand each other's emotional states is key to maintaining our relationships. So it is little wonder that the ability to empathize is hardwired directly into our brains. One area that assists in this process is the right supramarginal gyrus, which helps us to distinguish our own emotional state from that of another person, and plays a key role in our ability to observe and assess what other people are experiencing. Studies from Neuron Science Journal suggest that we have systems of mirror neurons in our brains that cause us to mimic the actions of others. That is why when we see someone yawn, we will often yawn in reply. And when we observe someone experiencing joy or pain, we experience the same sensation to a certain extent. But these reactions are primarily driven by subconscious reflexes. In order to be truly empathic, you have to actively think beyond yourself and your own concerns. You can develop this empathic skill by practicing some simple habits. Be observant of others. We tend to spend the majority of our day dwelling on ourselves, caught up in our own daily routines and digital distractions. But taking the time to observe others around you is a good first step in developing your empathy. Watch and wonder. Try to focus on the person's state of being rather than categorizing or labeling them. Ask yourself, what kind of day are they having? How are they feeling? Challenge yourself to genuinely care about their well-being. Curiosity about others is the first step to expanding your empathy. Use active listening. During a conversation, especially a heated one, most people formulate their response before the other person even finishes their statement. This form of communication is more verbal combat than an exchange of ideas or opinions. Avoid this reflex by slowing down. Rather than rushing to reply, take a moment to consider the other person's statement. Ask follow-up questions to better understand what the speaker intended. Try to understand their emotional state and the deeper motivations behind their statement. What life experiences led them to their current worldview? Remember, you don't need to share someone's opinion in order to understand it and acknowledge it. And listening will help inform and expand your own opinion. Open up. Learning more about other people's experiences is a key element to seeing the world through someone else's eyes. But it is also important to open up about your own feelings and experiences. Empathy is a two-way street that at best is built upon mutual understanding. Through a combination of uncovering the deeper motivations of someone else's position and expressing our own underlying concerns, we often discover a shared commonality, even with those who hold different beliefs than ours. Through the practice of keeping an open mind, empathy helps us challenge prejudice, find commonality, and expand our moral universe. Without it, we are apt to label people outside our circle as the other, the problem, or the enemy. These labels draw lines in the sand that prevent us from moving forward or growing. It cuts us off from the realization that the human experience is a shared experience. We have much more in common than we think, and are really just seeing small variations of the same reality.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay. So as the Brene Brown quote says, and the video demonstrates, empathy is really communicating to the clients that they're not alone. So when it comes to clients, actively listening to our clients, like they said in the video, we don't have to agree with their opinion in order to hear it. So some of us in the last, 4 years, maybe didn't agree with what some of our clients thought about our president, or some of the beliefs that came from that person. But that doesn't mean that we're, not listening to them and trying to gain understanding of where that information is, where that mindset is coming from. So that's kind of like an outsider example, but some other things that our clients might talk about, just communicating to them that they're not alone in that underlying feeling. Okay, so where to start when we meet with clients? Using empathy, of course, like we've talked about a few times already, reminding them that you're on their side. I think clients are used to sort of presenting with defensiveness and not feeling like we're on their team. So letting them know, especially when we're presenting clients with choices and maybe choices that are kind of like not great choices no matter what, but it's the only choices that we have available. I'm here for you. I'm on your side. I'm your case manager. I'm here to advocate. If there's anything I can do, let me know. And I'm on your side here. So if you're working with property management and the client is getting notice that they're going to get evicted, reminding the client, like, I'm here with you. I'm sitting here with you in this, and I'm here to support you. So don't try to jump into problem solving immediately. When you first meet clients, I would just give it some time to build trust and allow the clients to be comfortable with you. There's going to be certain tasks that we do have to just do. We should also allow time to get to know the client. And then setting boundaries with the clients from the beginning. So setting boundaries as far as time can be really containing for clients to know. I'm available to you Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. Outside of those hours, my supervisor's information is on my voicemail if something urgent comes up. If not, just know I'm going to do my best to call you within, 48 hours or on Monday if I'm able to. But just letting clients know we're going to be meeting once a week we're going to be meeting every Tuesday at 11 a.m., at your place or at the interim housing site that you live at, just so that they know what to expect and how they can reach you outside of those hours if something comes up. So just foreshadowing with your clients as well. And mapping things out, and that's on the next slide. I give an example of that. Okay, so for foreshadowing, something you could say, or an example you could use would be, I'll be available to meet with you once a week. Tuesday it's at 10, and then by phone, and then in person the first Tuesday of the month at the same time. I'm going to call you and let you know when I'm coming out to your home to see you, but I'm also available these times, and this is the number you can reach me at. Because I think something that somebody said to me before that I think is really good is that when clients don't know the boundaries or the answers, they tend to like fill in the blanks on their own, and it's not always the best blanks to fill in. It's most likely not accurate. So just know, if I don't call you back immediately, I'm not ignoring you. It's just that, I have 40 people on my caseload and I do my best to get back to people within 2 days. But if you need something, here's the person to reach if you can't find me. Okay. So speaking on unconditional positive regard, something we touched on earlier in the training was this mindset and approach to our clients of unconditionally accepting them. So Carl Rogers, he founded humanistic, or it's also called person-centered therapy. So he believed that there's a direct tie to the beneficial relationships of therapy if the relationship between a therapist and the client was strong. So if there was a good relationship between therapist and client. So person-centered therapy recognized that better results were gained if a therapist was empathetic, genuine, and truly believed in their clients, which is what unconditional positive regard is called. So we truly believe that our clients are able to accomplish the things that we're talking about. And no matter what they tell us about what they've done or what they've experienced or what they've been through, we should be unconditionally thinking of our clients in a positive regard. So it doesn't matter, if your client's been, incarcerated, or it doesn't matter if your client currently sells drugs or sex or anything like that. We're thinking of them in a positive regard, and that helps to build the relationship with clients. Carl Rogers and person-centered therapy is based around therapy, but I think we can actually take a lot from the thought that if the service provider is empathetic, genuine, and believes in their clients, that their relationships will improve. Okay, so building anything takes work and patience, just like any other relationship in your life with friends or family or a romantic partner that you might be in a relationship with. It takes work and it takes patience and it takes understanding of each other. So just kind of gauging where you're at with your clients and where are you meeting them. So are you meeting them at the same place as your other client who's fully independent, or are you meeting them at exactly where they're at? And even in their trust with you, it's going to be on a spectrum. Okay, so meeting our clients exactly where they're at, taking baby steps. So slowly building your client's trust, just knowing that this could take 6 months, it could take a year for your client to actually trust that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And a lot of our clients have had, understandably so, a lot of mistrusting relationships. So the way that we work on that is by doing what we say we're going to do and always following up with the information that we say that we're going to do with our client, showing up when we say we're going to show up, and listening to our clients, taking notes, and following up on things. So when you're meeting with your client, do they want you to fix what's going on right now, or do they just want to vent? Something that we know a lot is that many of our clients, especially on my team in scattered site housing, they're not seeing many people in their week besides the checkout person at Ralph's and the pharmacist, tech, or checkout person at CVS for their pharmacies or for their prescriptions. So our clients, many of our clients do not have someone to confide in or talk to or process through what's happened that week or that day. So does your client just want to vent, or is there something that you can do? So you can actually ask them, like, what can I do to help you with this? What is it you need from me right now? What is it you need from me in this moment? Are you just frustrated about your neighbor, or do you actually want me to support you in communicating an issue to your property manager. So just being really clear with your clients. And it's totally okay to ask them, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but blah, 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 blah. Or, you know, it seems to me like this, is that right? So just clarifying at all times. Motivational interviewing is another training that we have available in Case Management University. It's a really great tool to use when you work with your clients. It's an open and honest conversations that you build on trust with your clients. And any clients that are in the process of making a change, it can help you to support and how to communicate with them and getting them to move forward or to gauge where they're at. So just a plug for our motivational interviewing training is really helpful to know and how to communicate that way when you're working with clients. Okay, so something we talk a lot about on my team is that these relationships with clients are really restorative and reparative. So we really have an opportunity and the privilege to provide a restorative, reparative experience to our clients. So our clients from their closest friends and family have been often really let down. So we can come into the picture and really offer some reparative, restorative experiences where we take opportunities and, you know, you're meeting with a client and they get really upset with you and they tell you, you know, get out of here, I never want to see you again. Or in some cases, we have to file adult protective services against our clients for maybe suspected abuse or neglect that's happening. Clients can get really upset with us, but it's really about us coming back into the picture saying, like, you know, I'm your case manager. I want to talk about what happened. I want to talk about how, you know, you spoke to me last week and see what we can do to move forward. Some of our clients have never had that happen before, where it's okay to have a disagreement or get upset with somebody or even tell them, you know, you never want to see them again, but they still keep coming back. So those are really some opportunities we have to support our clients in growth and restoration. Okay. So what we can represent for some of our clients is that there's been a lot of failings that have been in their past, whether it's by family, friends, service providers in their past. Just considering, like we've been talking about the whole time, what is the client dealing with? What are they coming to you with? Is today the best day to talk about the difficult conversation that needs to happen about, you know, their doctor telling them they need to stop using a certain substance in order to get a surgery? Or should we just allow for some space today to talk about what they're upset about with their neighbor? So even using the language of, like, sounds like it's been a tough weekend for you. It sounds like it's been a tough night. How about we reschedule for another day so you can take care of yourself? Rather than saying, like, I'm not meeting with you today if you're only going to yell about your neighbor to me. But knowing that it's also okay. We have a discriminatory client behavior policy, and we also encourage staff to hold boundaries if clients are yelling at you and are upset with you and are using verbally abusive language. We want you to hold that boundary and talk to your supervisor, but tell the client, you know, we're going to have to end today, or I'm going to have to end this phone call if you're going to speak to me that way. And there's lots of information about exact language and templates of phrases to use in that policy as well. Okay, so I think somebody put a chat. I can't even see the chat. Oh, I can send the video link afterwards. I'm just seeing the chat questions. Okay, so encouraging and celebrating. So remember that on my team in our housing department on the Westside, we talk a lot about celebrating the small wins with our clients, but about our clients, but also with the clients. So if you're proud of the clients and see them moving towards their goal, or if they've, finally were able to do this thing, or were able to accomplish something or get something or do something on their own, making sure that you're celebrating that with your clients. And the other thing that comes up is that I've encouraged people to do is keep a treasure chest or a notebook or a a page on your planner or in your notebook about wins and positive experiences. And definitely when clients give you positive feedback, like you're the most helpful, I can't believe we accomplished this together. Or when your clients give you compliments or your supervisor gives you compliments about your work, I always encourage people to like print the email, write the quote, save it for yourself. I mean, even when you have wins with your clients and positive experiences, just like remembering those, because on bad days when it feels like you're failing at everything and your third client has told you that you're the worst, it's really, really good to like reference back on the good things, because we're all in this work to help other people, or none of us would be here. Does anybody have like a win, even like a small win with their client that they'd want to share? I'm going to skip the breakout portion for the recording, but anybody have like small or big wins that they want to share with the group? Or even how you've celebrated with clients, or how you've shared in your excitement with them?
I'll share mine. This is free, so I'm not sure if this is appropriate or not, but they like my participants when they get housed. They like bells and cupcakes. So some of them are vegan. So either me or another housing navigator will purchase the treats, and somebody did buy a bell. And we would ring it when they walked through the door, and we would eat cupcakes with them. So.
Oh, that's so great. We actually bought, now you just reminded me, because we bought a bell, like one that hangs on the wall that you ring. We bought one. I don't know where it is, because we've been kind of in transition for a while, but yeah, that's great. Housing is such a huge thing. Anything else that people have celebrated, or how they've done it with their clients? Okay. Even along the lines of just giving clients verbal encouragement. Like you in the last month, you've called me every week to ask me for coping skills to get through this situation. And you didn't last week. And I noticed that. And I just want to encourage you that I think you're doing really great in getting that stuff and managing that on your own, and I'm really proud of you, things like that. Okay. Boundaries. Okay. So some things that can come up in the beginning of the relationship too is boundaries. So sometimes if we happen to have what our client needs, we might think about like, why not give it to them? So some things that have come up is you're meeting with a client at their home. They're like, hey, do you have $3 I can have? I just need to really do like laundry, or I need to get to my doctor appointment. I don't have any money. And you have it in your wallet, like, why not give it to them? But what we know is that doesn't set a good example. It doesn't set a good precedence for your relationship, for what they should expect from you ongoing, meeting their own needs, but also what they can expect for the service provider after you. If like every week when Christina came by, she gave me $2 because it wasn't that big of a deal, even though her supervisor didn't approve it and it was out of my own pocket, that doesn't set a very good precedence. We've also had situations come up where staff are like, hey, I have a spare refrigerator from my friend who just graduated college. Like, can I just give that to the client? Or we've had a case manager say, I have all these pet supplies, or I have, one of our case managers had wigs that her mother that had passed away from breast cancer had like left behind. And she was asking if she could directly donate them to a client who was also experiencing hair loss because of cancer. So just really thinking about like, is it helpful for the client for you directly to provide that to them? Does it help the relationship? Does it hinder the relationship? And how can some of these things be restorative or reparative if you hold the boundary? So by saying like, trust me, it's not that I don't want to help you out with these $3 this week. Not allowed to, actually, my agency doesn't allow me to give my own cash. But let me just check with my supervisor and I'll get right back to you. And doing that. So following up with clients, like let's brainstorm together about how to get this laundry done or how to get you a ride in another way. Okay. There was something in the chat. Can't really see it, so. Okay. Housewarming parties, I like that. Okay. So before we reach the end, something I wanted to touch on was the difference between case manager versus therapist roles. So many of our clients at the agency are connected to internal and external mental health providers. And having multiple providers can be really confusing for some of our clients. It's a lot to manage and a lot of people to keep track of and who's who. So generally, our mental health providers that work with the clients, unless it's psychiatry, which is more like once a month usually, our therapists are generally seeing our clients every week. And they might only be seeing us once a month and talking to us on the phone. So tasks are going to come up with therapists because they just sometimes see them more frequently. So we should just always make sure that whoever our clients are connected to, that we know who those people are, we have consents if they're outside of our agency, and that we just have open communication with the members of the team. So it's not, communicating to us that they know more than us or that they're telling us what to do. Sometimes they're literally just the one who's face-to-face with clients more often. And they maybe are even in their apartment seeing like, they still have this thing going on. And consulting with the members of the client's team, maybe even with the client present. So it might be saying like, yeah, the first Tuesday of the month for our session, I'm gonna connect with the therapist time so that we can overlap for 15 minutes and talk about what's going on so we can make sure that all your needs are met. Even doing like a conference call, like when you're meeting with the client, looping in the therapist for 10 minutes so you can all be on the same page if necessary. Okay, so case management is more task-oriented. So linkage to resources, assisting our clients, housing placement, housing retention. We're communicating with the landlords, property managers. So clients really tell us about the problem and we help to support the clients in resolving the issue. Whereas opposed to a therapist, they should really be taking those tasks and redirecting them to you. Some more rare circumstances where the client has a large list of items and the therapist is available and willing to help, we can talk about that. Generally, we would ask that those be just redirected to the case management team so that we could support the client how we know how to. So sometimes even having conversations with our clients about, Christina is your therapist, she's going to come once a week. And really the focus for that is your therapy goals. If there's any other things that come up, your therapist will be jotting notes down. She'll send them to me at the end of the session. If you have like anything else outside of the therapy relationship that you need support with. So just letting clients know that, the difference between us is that I'm really here to support you in resources and tasks and anything related to your housing. And therapist is really here for the mental health goals that you created with them. So the therapist is more on the support side, helping them to cope, handling frustrating situations, maybe even accompanying them for certain visits, or we've asked therapists to be present for client moves when clients are relocating if we know it's going to be a particularly anxious time for the client. So they can also be used like on the treatment team as part of some of our interventions if they're able to and if it makes sense. So the difference between a friend and a case manager and a therapist is that friends are really there to like give advice, talk casually with the clients. Friend can usually reach the client at any time and vice versa. And then, a friend can loan the clients money and it's not confidential. Whereas case management relationships are confidential. We shouldn't be communicating with our clients outside of work hours or outside of our relationship. It's really between us and them. Okay, so to recap, we're towards the end of the training now. So empathy always comes first. We've talked about that many times, and I shared the video link in the chat. Remember that our clients have a lot of experiences leading up to us. Keeping it in the back of our minds, unconditional positive regard for our clients at all times. Non-judgment. As clients become bigger and more independent, we should become smaller and sort of in the background, supporting our clients and propping them up. And then really working on those restorative, reparative moments and taking moments that we see in order to have like a restorative conversation or approach to the client. And then really celebrating the baby steps and the small moments with our clients and without our clients and with our supervisors and with our teams, sharing those wins. Okay, so yeah, as we end, any questions or thoughts that anybody has? I'm gonna stop sharing. Anything that comes up for anybody? Anybody else wanted to share?
I had a question that came up over the weekend, and it's something that I think would be useful to ask here. So in the past, I've been told that I might give too much affirmations or validations to my clients instead of challenging them. And I often don't really know when I feel like it's the right time to, instead of going along with everything they're saying and affirming it and helping them with the goals of things that I don't think are the most constructive to them or the most feasible. Like, how would you go about deciding when is the right time to challenge a thought or challenge a goal compared to going along with it?
Yeah, that's a good question. That can be really tricky depending on the relationship too. I think something that we see a lot is, I mean, it's definitely okay to tell the client, like if you're seeing themes or inconsistencies in what they're telling you, it's okay to like maybe like lightly challenge or lightly push back on like, well, you know, I know last week we talked about, you know, you are really against interim housing, but it sounds like as of this week, that's changed. Like, can you tell me about that? It's very different than what we talked about last week. Or, I mean, it shows that you were also listening to them before when you're saying, well, this is what you said before. I'm not really sure, you know, where the discrepancy is. So yeah, I think it's part of building rapport and having a good relationship with clients is, you know, not necessarily just buying everything they tell you, but saying like, oh, you know, you told me before that, I know we've talked about many times that, you know, don't have any trouble with paying your rent, but it sounds like the last 2 months you haven't. Like, let's talk about that. And what are the barriers here? So I think it's part of like a helpful supportive relationship is also to like point out when there's things that don't align with what they've previously told you or what like their behavior is demonstrating. Does that make sense?
That does. Thanks. Like, instead of directly countering it, kind of unearthing it like a layer and also showing past history or behaviors.
Yeah. And I think like approaching with curiosity is always a good thing. Like, it's instead of saying, you know, well, you know, that's wrong, or, you know, well, you lied to me last week because you told me this. Like, I think approaching with curiosity is like never going to be a bad thing. Or you can also say like, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, this and this, and clients would be like, you're wrong. Don't talk to me ever again. Okay. That's, you know, moving on. So just like approaching things like in a therapeutic relationship with curiosity, I think can be like very, non-threatening for clients too. And in any relationship, really, in any relationship and at work or outside of work. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're showing empathy for a client, but they get it confused as you treating them like a child, how do you handle that situation? Because I just experienced that here maybe a week ago, and I just want to know how to handle that sort of thing. Like, what can I say? Like, what should I not say?
Yeah, so sort of, you're talking to a client and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like they're taking that as, don't talk to me like a child, like that.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the really hard part is there's no perfect answer or like perfect guide on that, which makes it so like tricky. Because clients will be like, you don't know what I mean. Like, you don't know what I'm experiencing. You've never lived on the street. You've never been addicted to blah, 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 blah. Like clients will like direct that at you. But I think, yeah, that's really tough. I think you could say like, yeah, I haven't, but I hear you. And like, I would love to know how I can like come alongside you and help you and support you in this. Because it's okay to acknowledge like, you're right. I've never been XYZ. Like I've never been through that, but I'm here to help you. How can I help you in that? And like, yeah, I think when clients are putting up, you're talking to me like a child, or you're, don't speak to me that way. Okay. I think that's probably rooted in past relationships and past experiences, but like in the moment, I think it's okay to say like, I never wanted to come across that way. How can I support you right now? What can I do for you right now for this? It's okay to acknowledge, like sometimes there's going to be a break in that relationship or client feels like you don't understand. It's okay to just like acknowledge it and say like, where can we go from here? How can I support you in this? And I apologize if it came across that way.
Thank you. That is very helpful.
Tricky.
Very encouraging too. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, great. All right, that is all I have. So thank you everybody for attending. 14 is a good number. We haven't had this large of a group before. So appreciate everybody coming and asking questions, participating, and have a good rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Welcome. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Stop recording.